The Israel-Iran conflict has escalated dramatically into open war as of March 2, 2026.
What?
Started with long-standing tensions over Iran's nuclear program, missile capabilities, and support for proxy groups like Hezbollah exploded into direct military action. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched coordinated airstrikes on Iran, codenamed Operation Roaring Lion by Israel and Operation Epic Fury by the U.S. These strikes targeted key military sites, missile facilities, naval assets, and high-level regime figures. Critically, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in the initial attacks, along with several senior commanders and officials. This has led to regime instability in Tehran, with an interim leadership council stepping in amid mourning and chaos. Iran retaliated immediately with waves of ballistic missiles and drones aimed at Israel-U.S. bases, and Gulf states hosting American forces including Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, and others. Some missiles penetrated defenses, causing casualties, at least 11 deaths in Israel, including strikes on Jerusalem and a synagogue in Beit Shemesh, 4+ U.S. service members killed, and civilian hits in Gulf countries. Iranian-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon has now fully entered the fight, launching rockets into northern Israel, prompting massive Israeli counterstrikes on Beirut and southern Lebanon. As of today, day 3 to 4 of the conflict, U.S. and Israeli forces have conducted over 2,000 strikes on Iran, claiming air superiority over Tehran, destruction of much of Iran's missile and naval capabilities, and significant degradation of its nuclear-related sites. President Donald Trump has stated the campaign is substantially ahead of schedule, projecting it could last 4 to 5 weeks or longer if needed to eliminate Iran's threat, prevent nuclear weapon development, and end its sponsorship of militant groups. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz in response, threatening to attack any ships attempting passage, raising global oil and shipping concerns. Casualties: hundreds killed in Iran, over 555 reported by Iranian sources, including civilian incidents like strikes near schools or hospitals, dozens in Israel and Lebanon, and rising across the region. The conflict has widened, with explosions in Gulf cities, airspace closures, and fears of broader involvement. For example, some allies like UK, France, Germany expressing support for defending interests against Iranian strikes. The UN and others call for restraint, but escalation continues with no signs of de-escalation. Trump has warned of a big wave of further strikes if Iran doesn't back down, while Israeli officials say operations will intensify until objectives are met. Here's a ready-to-use 10-minute English script for UT Talks, assuming this means a YouTube discussion, university debate, or public speaking slot. It's structured as a monologue presentation script you can deliver directly in for a natural speaking pace about 130 to 150 words per minute. To hit roughly 10 minutes, no timestamps included, as requested. Script: The Israel-Iran War, current escalation and what it means. March 2026 update. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. We're witnessing one of the most serious escalations in the Middle East in decades, a full-scale war between Israel, backed by the United States, and Iran. This isn't just another round of shadow conflicts or proxy battles, it's direct, intense, and spreading fast. Let me start with how we got here. For years, tensions have boiled over Iran's nuclear ambitions, its ballistic missile program, and its funding of groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and militias in Iraq and Yemen. Talks to revive or negotiate limits on Iran's program repeatedly stalled. By early 2026, amid internal protests in Iran and warnings from Tehran that it was ready for war, the U.S. began building up forces in the region on a scale not seen since the Iraq invasion. Then, on February 28, everything changed. Israel and the U.S. launched surprise coordinated strikes deep inside Iran. The operation targeted missile sites, air defenses, naval headquarters, and most shockingly key regime figures. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in one of the early strikes. Reports confirm multiple senior commanders and officials are also dead. Israel calls it Operation Roaring Lion. The U.S. has its own name. The goal: cripple Iran's ability to threaten the region, destroy its missile stockpile, sink its navy, and ensure it never gets a nuclear weapon. Iran's response was swift and furious. Within hours it fired hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones at Israel. Some got through, hitting cities like Jerusalem and Beit Shemesh, killing at least 11 people so far. Iranian proxies joined in. Hezbollah in Lebanon opened fire on northern Israel, ending a fragile ceasefire and drawing heavy Israeli retaliation on Beirut. Missiles also targeted U.S. bases and assets in the Gulf. Kuwait saw hits near the U.S. Embassy, and other states like UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain reported impacts and civilian casualties. At least 4 American service members have been killed. As we speak on March 2nd, the war is in its 3rd or 4th day. U.S. and Israeli airstrikes have hit over 2,000 targets in Iran. Officials say they've achieved air superiority over Tehran and are pounding regime infrastructure hourly. President Trump said today the mission was projected for 4 to 5 weeks but could go much longer. He called Iran's leadership sick and sinister and vowed to continue until the threat is eliminated. On the Iranian side, chaos reigns. With Khamenei gone and no clear successor, an interim council has taken over. State media declared mourning, but streets show a mix of anger and some quiet celebration from those opposed to the regime. Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for global oil, and threatened to attack any ship trying to pass. That's already spiking energy prices and risking a wider economic shock. Casualties are mounting. Hundreds dead in Iran, including civilians in strikes that hit near schools and hospitals, though both sides blame each other for targeting. In Israel, defenses like Iron Dome have intercepted most threats, but the psychological toll is huge, with sirens and shelters nationwide. What does this mean for the world? First, it's a test of us resolve under Trump. He's not ruling out ground troops if needed. Second, it risks pulling in more players. Hezbollah is fully engaged, Gulf states are on alert, and countries like Russia and China have condemned the strikes as aggression. The UN urges de-escalation, but no one is backing down. This conflict could reshape the Middle East, weaken or topple Iran's regime, redraw proxy alliances, and impact global energy, or it could spiral into something even larger. We don't know how long this will last or how it ends. Diplomacy seems far off right now, but one thing is clear: the region and the world is holding its breath. Thank you. I'd be happy to take questions or discuss any aspect further. Stay informed, stay safe.